And we are back. Now going into the X-Men movies. Um, so where do we stand? I've seen all the movies. What about you, Aaron?
I've seen all the X-Men movies except for Days of Future Past. I haven't seen it yet, but I intend to.
I've only seen parts.
And I've only seen the first one.
Alright. Well, I personally have not read a whole lot of the X-Men comics. I've read a handful of stuff. I know certain characters. I know Apocalypse. I know Mr. Sinister and all that. So I'm not completely oblivious to the source material. There is stuff I know. I have read the Phoenix Saga, and I believe the Phoenix Saga in I can't remember the name of the story, but it's the one where Wolverine goes to Japan, becomes like a bodyguard or something.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolverine's based on that.
Yes.
You really need Dana for this. She's gone crazy.
Do what?
My sister, she knows like almost everything about X-Men. Like she's a go crazy fan for this stuff.
Okay, so I'm not completely ignorant of X-Men. I do know some things. Now, the first movie, I really didn't care for it just because it was not the X-Men I knew. I only knew the X-Men, the X-Men cartoon. I was like, oh, well, that's not like this, and it's not realizing not everything has to be like what I think it is. The movie grew on me after a while. I actually really enjoy it. I think Hugh Jackman is perfect for Wolverine. I could not think of anybody else better to play him. Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Stewart. I think it makes a great Professor Xavier. I cannot remember the guy who plays Magneto, but he's another great
I think it's Ian McDermott.
Another great pick in casting. I even don't mind the person that got to play Rogue, even though this is not really the Rogue I wanted to see. I can't help it. I really like that character, Rogue, from the cartoon and from the comics. But I understand this. This is supposed to be before she met Miss Marvel, before she was able to absorb her powers, which just confused the hell out of me. I just need somebody to explain this. Hopefully you can. Why is there a Miss Marvel? And is there any correlation to Captain Marvel?
I'm not really sure about that. I know Miss Marvel, I think there was a whole comic series about her, if I remember correctly. It was a very small one. But she was primarily more a character in the X-Men universe that Rogue got her power from, put her in a coma to absorb all her power permanently.
It just confused me because in DC they have Captain Marvel, or they call him Shazam now. But I was just curious if there was any correlation between those characters.
Not that I know, but I'm not really sure. I don't know that much about Captain Marvel or Shazam or any of that. That's not a topic I'm super familiar with.
All right, X-Men 1, I think it was a really good film. I have some nitpicks. I hate what they did with Sabretooth. They basically made him a mute. I think he has 2 lines in the whole movie.
Yep.
And they never bring up the history between Wolverine and Sabretooth. But somebody once told me that maybe neither one remembers their history. But according later on, apparently they're brothers or something stupid like that.
Well, the Sabretooth Wolverine thing was always one of my biggest areas with the movie because that was always one of the things I loved about the cartoon and the comics a lot was that relationship between the two of them. It's like Sabretooth loves to torture Wolverine. Wolverine hates Sabretooth for a numerous amount of reasons. And Sabretooth just always follows him around and shows up at the most horrible moments just to screw with him. And he enjoys it. He gets kicks off of it.
Another thing I did not like was Halle Berry as Storm. That was Halle Berry, right?
Yes.
Okay. She just did not have any of the demeanor. Nothing said that she was Storm. Like, you see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. You don't see Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. You see Wolverine.
That's it.
Yeah. I just saw Halle Berry dressed up like Storm. That was basically it. She had very little personality. One of the things I enjoyed in the cartoon was how over the top she was. Because she didn't just send lightning bolts. She was say some kind of incantation to throw lightning bolts or something like that. She was like mighty lightning bolts fly from the skies or
Yeah,
the
there was
heavens or something.
There was all these big epic lines he would always say in the cartoon. Again, that was something else I didn't like about it.
Another one was completely wasted was Toad, but does anybody really give a shit about Toad?
I do. Toad has always been a character I like a lot, especially in
The only
X-Men
time
Evolution.
I've ever cared about Toad was in X-Men Evolution. That's the only time I ever got a shit about Toad.
Now, Toad in that movie has to be my all-time favorite Toad. It's purely based on its Ray Park playing it. And Ray Park, for those that don't know, is the one that played Darth Maul in Episode 1, Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's just, when I found out that's his actual first speaking role in the movie, is as Toad.
And again, like Sabretooth, he doesn't say a whole lot.
Mhm.
The only line I ever remember him ever saying was, "Don't you people ever die?" And that's the only line I remember him ever saying.
He's got like, I think about 3 or 4 different lines in the movie. There's like, once you're supposed to bring somebody back with you, and then, stop messing around, and then the
Okay,
one
was he
said-
British?
No, he's Australian.
Oh,
That's why they would always dub him
same
in other
difference.
movies.
Nah, I'm kidding. Yeah, I never could figure out what accent he had.
So, I mean, we've established, like you said, that you like the movies,
Yeah.
And y'all really haven't seen too much of them, so it's, But, I mean, from what y'all did see of them and what you remember, is it something you liked?
Now, I just wanted to say this real quick before we move on to X2. I think they did a great job with Mystique. The only thing I have to ask is, why is she naked? I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying, why is she naked?
I
mean,
probably just to appeal.
She had a badass costume in the comic books and in the
Yeah,
cartoon.
either the
but
dress or the leather or red outfit or whatever.
She had like
depending which one
well,
you're
I'm talking about the white,
Yeah,
the
the-
white dress with the skull
Yeah.
belt and all that, skull pendant. And, yeah, she just looked really badass in the cartoon, and I was kind of bummed that they didn't have that costume. But otherwise, I do like what they did with her.
Yes.
Now she doesn't say a whole lot, but I don't think she needed to. You got a lot through her eyes
Mhm.
for what she was doing on screen, her body movement. Honestly, I think they did that just because the actress playing her is not that good of an actress. She's one of those people that, as bad as it sounds, don't let her talk, just have her on screen. She's a great body actor. She's great at speaking with her body, speaking with her eyes, without actually saying a thing. I was kind of bummed out when they got rid of her in the later movies, like they replaced her, which I can understand. Everybody's supposed to be younger and all that for First Class.
Mhm.
I just didn't like that they replaced her, just because this Mystique didn't have the same.
Intensity.
Yeah, she didn't have that aura of her.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think the original woman to play Mystique is the same one that played the Baroness in G.I. Joe.
Less said about G.I. Joe, the better.
Yes.
Now, X-Men 2, I've heard a lot of people complain about that movie. And to me, it sounds ridiculous to me, just because I thought this was a great movie, a great comic book movie. Because it actually flowed like a comic book. There's actually shots in the movie that look like panels in a comic book. It was very dynamic. I love what they did with Stryker. The relationship between Wolverine and Stryker. Again, Hugh Jackman kicks ass in this movie. All the other characters from the previous movies are really good. The only characters I don't really care for are the New Mutant, because Iceman had almost zero personality. Colossus was just a waste of time, which made me sad because I freaking love Colossus. Colossus is a badass character.
He's like my probably 3rd favorite X-Men character of all time. And I really wish they would have had him in the movie more. It would have been so much cooler to have Colossus.
And
than
again, we
everybody
get
does.
another thing where they just ignore the relationships between characters. Why'd you introduce Nightcrawler if you weren't going to do anything with him with Mystique? Why have them have a scene together if you're not going to address the fact that they are connected. But beyond those small points, I think the movie was really solid. I love the opening to this movie, to X-Men 2. It is perfectly timed. The pacing is perfect. It's great. I don't know how to really put it into words. It's just, I love how they utilize his powers, the teleporting and all that. I love the look of Nightcrawler. He's not furry, but I can deal with that. Again, Stryker is probably the best part of the movie. Plot is a little bit jumbled, but I think it flows very well for all of what it's trying to do. It's focused, it knows where it's going, unlike certain other X-Men movies, but still. The ending to this movie is really well done, and it really made me hungry for the Phoenix Saga, and we kinda got that with the next movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think we'll talk about that in the next segment. We'll be right back.